Hey, so we just saw Middle School Part 2.
Turns out Middle School better twist in this movie.
There's a spaceship in this movie too. What the fuck? We just got out a girl on the train, which I honestly really liked.
Yeah, I quite liked it too. I mean, we were both kind of interested because we were checking Rotten Tomatoes earlier, as you do, and this was what, 45 or so.
It was in the 40s when I looked at Rotten Tomatoes earlier to see if Middle School had gotten any reviews.
Which I thought was interesting because it's a very hyped up movie. While I've been in America, I've been watching all the talk shows. I've been seeing all the actors do the promotional rounds. And, it was definitely being positioned as this year's Gone Girl, and you could really see that in the movie.
No, you can. Yeah, you totally can. The best way I could describe it is if, like, obviously it feels like a Gone Girl cash grab, but a good one. Yeah. But also, like, it feels like it'd be like that period in the 90s where there would be like something like big, like something big that's out in theaters, and maybe there's a TV movie that's maybe kind of like something that's in theaters. That sort of feels like the case here, but again, like a really good one. Yeah. Like a really good example of that.
I think the best way to describe this movie is like Gone Girl, but if it was directed by someone that wasn't David Fincher.
But still, like, solidly directed.
Yeah, that line makes it sound like I'm really harsh on the movie, and I'm not.
Yeah.
But I will say that for the longest time while I was watching this movie, I was very umming and ahhing about it. I came around to it towards the big resolution. That was, you could probably tell I was getting a little bit vested. I was going, ooh. Yeah. But in the earlier stages, I was maybe a little bit apprehensive because Gone Girl is always in your mind when you're watching this movie. For better or for worse, it's always kind of in the back of your mind. So I was kind of watching this, with that in mind a little bit, and I was kind of uncertain of, okay, I'm not sure whether I'm quite involved in it in the same way as Gone Girl, but again, I think that's partially because you just find yourself naturally comparing it to Gone Girl, just out of the sheer, comparison of it, because they are two very similar movies, but of course, it's a really unfair comparison, because Gone Girl is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, Gone Girl I remember Gone Girl made my top 10 that year. This one won't make my top 10 at the end of the year, but it's still one that I recommend. Yeah. Like, I wasn't thinking about Gone Girl much during the movie, because going into, you can tell from the trailer.
I mean, it's sort of like similar, but it's very different at the same time.
I think in my case though, maybe I'm kind of used to watching knockoff movies, so I'm sort of like, I can just kind of watch this on its own. But also, this movie is paced radically different than Gone Girl.
Yeah, it's a good half hour shorter than Gone Girl.
It is, it is shorter. It is shorter. It doesn't have some of the humor that Gone Girl had, but there was never really a point in this movie where I was kind of debating to myself whether or not I liked it. From beginning to end, I was honestly thoroughly entertained by this movie. And part of that was honestly like how it was paced. This movie, I thought, used flashbacks really well. Yeah. Because from the beginning, you're not confused as the movie is setting itself up with its characters. What it does that's really cool is it kind of introduces you to these characters, like, it gives you little by little. It gives you just what it needs to give you in the moments you're seeing it. Like, for instance, like when it does the characters' names at the beginning, and it gives them their own intro.
There are sort of three main characters. Yeah. They're all women played by, we have Rachel played by Emily Blunt, and this is the first character that we're introduced to, and she's the titular girl on the train. She watches the second character, Megan, on...
Haley Bennett.
Yeah, Haley
Who,
Bennett.
by the way, it took me until I think 3 or 4 times till I saw this trailer before I realized that wasn't Jennifer Lawrence in the movie.
Yeah, I did spend much of this movie going, if this was a couple of years ago, that would have been Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, and she's really good in this movie.
She is
Haley
really
Bennett
good in this movie. It's just that I think Haley Bennett is sort of reaping the benefits of looking exactly like Jennifer
That's
Lawrence.
not the first time that's happened. When I first saw the trailer for Magnificent Seven, I think when she popped up in it, I was like, did they put like Jennifer Lawrence in some different makeup or something like that? Is she one of the Magnificent Seven?
It's funny because Haley Bennett was in a few movies, she was in the Joe Dante movie The Hole ages ago, and she kind of disappeared for a bit, and now she's suddenly had this resurgence around like The Equalizer because she was in that last year. And
that's right.
So it's like, cool, she's back.
She is really good in this movie, but like I said, I'm like, God, I hope I'm not the only one who the first 4 times I saw this, because I saw the trailer quite a bit, but the first 4 times I saw it, I straight up thought it was Jennifer Lawrence until I was on IMDb.
Well, the third character is Anna, who is the new wife of Rachel's ex, and I spent much of this movie going, "Who is that? Who is that?"
I kind of was too,
because it was bugging me, and it turned out it was Rebecca Ferguson from Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. Yeah, the blonde hair had thrown me completely off.
No, I didn't recognize her either until the ending credits. Yeah. But. So it does set up these 3 characters and kind of gives you a little bit there at the beginning, enough to where you're not confused, enough to where you realize really quick, on a what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe a shallow level, or really quick glimpse of these characters.
It's sort of at a glance. I mean,
a glance. Thank you.
It's essentially like Rachel on the train. We essentially meet Megan the first time through her viewpoint. Yeah. I mean. It's a typical stock thriller thing to say, but nothing is quite what it appears, and that is very much the case here.
That's pretty much the case throughout the whole movie, because what it does really well with flashbacks is you think you kind of know everything about a character, or at least to a point, but then like a puzzle, as the movie goes on, it just shows you more and more layers of it goes back to show you something from a different angle or a different point of view, or it actually maybe gives context to a different situation. It shows maybe a longer sequence that's actually maybe a little sadder than you previously saw it. You kind of at first just think she's an alcoholic because her husband left her, but then it turns into this sort of stalker thing. Yeah. And then it goes even beyond that and beyond that. Not to the point to where it got ridiculous, but I thought it was cool. It kept me really entertained.
Yeah, the movie does a really good job with the way that it very much sort of twists scenes. Scenes begin in very different places to the way that they start, and it always keeps you on your toes, especially because the way that the movie's edited, it's got a little bit of a slow pace, but it's gradually building tension. But whenever it snaps into a new scene, it always changes tack somewhere. It always, to use a train pun, it's always changing tracks.
Yeah. And I never got tired of the flashbacks this movie throughout, because they were all really important. They were all really vital to understanding what's going on in this film.
You've really got to pay very close attention to the film, and it rewards you if you do that, especially. And it does a really good job because. Talking of viewpoints and things like that, the information is always presented in some way that's very different. But it also uses the Emily Blunt's character's alcoholism very effectively in that it does try to trick you. It does occasionally try to lead you off the garden path, essentially, and it works.
It does, because a lot of those reveals, when you find out a lot of things that happened during her blackouts, really did get me. A lot of that was more surprising than some other aspects of the movie.
And you don't feel cheated when the movie does that. Because the explanation for it makes total sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And the acting all around is incredibly solid in this film.
This movie has a fantastic cast. Yeah. But even saying that, Emily Blunt, she is brilliant in this movie.
She is great, and I like this kind of movie. I like this mystery that's kind of being told through this really deeply flawed character.
This very unreliable narrator.
In this case, just straight up alcoholism, and through a lot of the movie you think she's also this drunken stalker.
Well, well, of course, during the movie, she steals Anna's baby. And that's set up very early on, and it immediately puts you on edge because you know what she could potentially be capable of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I like that kind of movie. There's a really good thriller from the 80s called The Morning After with Jane Fonda, where it's also a murder mystery told through this character that Jane Fonda plays, who's just a total alcoholic. Jeff Bridges is in it. It's a really good movie, and I hadn't thought about that movie in a while, and this one kind of, not that really that's kind of the only similarity between the two movies, but it made me realize how much I really like mysteries like that.
Yeah, Blunt is fantastic in this movie. The camera really gets very up close to her, very much it absorbs her every tear, and you
see the bloodshot in her eyes.
Yeah, it's a very unflinching performance. It's not very Hollywoody or anything like that. It's a very, very brutally honest portrayal of alcoholism.
Yeah, it was reminding me a lot of like Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah,
like totally, like down to like the shakes, the blackouts, her eyes bulging, bloodshot, all of that.
The movie works as a whoddunit, but why I think it's so engaging is that it also works really well as a character study, especially of Emily Blunt's character.
Good Lord, yeah, absolutely.
Because she is trying to live her life through both of these characters. They're like I said, they are all intersected in some way. Megan is essentially the romance that she aspires to have, the woman that she would like to be, and Anna is sort of the woman that stole her man, essentially.
Living the life that she wanted and everything, complete with like a newborn baby.
Yeah, because it's established that the relationship between her and her ex, played by Justin Theroux, broke down because they couldn't have a child, and that was sort of the turning point in the relationship. And you have Megan's character who absolutely hates babies, but somehow managed to get herself into babysitting.
And then when you find out some reveals later on with her, it's like, that had to have been brutal. Fuck. Justin Theroux's great in this.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, I've always liked him as an actor.
The whole cast really is great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
there's not a weak link in this film.
Luke Evans. I'm really warmed up to Luke Evans. I mean, first couple of performances of Luke Evans, I just didn't really like Luke Evans because he has turned in a couple of bland performances. I mean, I think the
like
first
Dracula Untold.
Yeah, I think the first time I saw Luke Evans in a movie was The Raven.
Nice. I forgot he was even in that.
Yeah, that shows you just how much of a performance he gave in that movie. But
well, like honestly, the only person I remember being in that was John Cusack. I remember hating that fucking movie.
Yeah,
and I haven't thought about it much since, really. I remember Cusack basically doing Nick Cage in the movie.
Yeah.
And then for some reason at the end it has a James Bond ending credit sequence, complete with bullet effects to the camera. What the hell?
But going back to Luke Evans, he's really good in this. He's really good in this movie because it wants you to. This is a movie that needs a tall, dark, handsome character, but also has a really darker side to him. And when Evans can go to that side, you are inherently suspicious of him. He can play that abusive side of the character well, and it really puts you on edge.
It does, especially because he keeps offering Emily Blunt drinks.
I did at one point when he first offers her the beer and she accepts it, seemingly out of politeness more than anything else. I'm just like,
Matthew was like, "Oh, don't drink that, girl."
Yeah. we needed When the Bell Breaks audience in it.
We did. Just be me and Brian again. I mean, to get to like the resolution of the movie, about halfway into the movie, maybe a little more, I pretty much figured out who did it, and also kind of why too, like but that part I kind of saw coming a little bit, but
I don't think I figured it out quite as early as you did, but I could see when it was sort of revealed, I could kind of understand. I could sort of see the sort of issue in that the movie does kind of have a little bit of a narrow pool of characters.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody
who it could possibly be.
Yeah, and once like...
and it doesn't seem like the kind of movie that's going to bullshit and just pull out a character at the last second like, there we go.
Oh, it was Lisa Kudrow the entire time. Wow, I guess I didn't expect that. She is in this movie, by the way. But actually, that was really cool seeing her on. She's only in it for like 5 minutes. But,
it's a very pivotal 5 minutes.
It is. Oh, honestly, yeah. Like that could not have been a deleted scene.
Yeah.
I think probably around when it got to an issue about a pregnancy and a third person that was involved with it. It was around then when I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I figured out who did it, and I'm pretty sure I figured out why they did it or what led up to it, and I was right in that regard. But I was still enjoying the journey leading up to it, and also there were aspects of it that I didn't see coming, because there's a character who's revealed to be way more abusive than we've been led on to see. That is what surprised me about the reveal.
Funnily enough, that element I kind of figured coming a little bit. That was one bit I figured coming. So I think you and me, we were
kind of switched.
Yeah, we'd kind of picked up little pieces. But we hadn't put together the full story in the way that the movie was telling it.
Right. Yeah. So even though I saw it coming who it was going to turn out to be, like there was some context with it, or not. Well, not really context. I pretty much figured why he did it, but when it shows like these other flashbacks showing what we had previously seen, but in not a drunken blur that involves a character being a million times more verbally abusive and physically abusive than we had been led on before, that is what still kept me into it and still kept me really loving the journey that we were on.
Yeah, that performance in the final portion of the film really gripped me into it, I think.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. No, I recommend the movie.
I recommend it too. I think if you're a fan of intelligent adult thrillers, this is absolutely for you. You have to see this movie. Support movies like this.
No, I honestly totally agree. Like this is an R. It's an adult thriller. There's sex, nudity. It's got some sleaze to it. It's a solid mystery.
But it's a really smart movie.
No, it is. Yeah. It isn't like It's not like.
I mean, you say it's got all those elements, but it never feels like it's sleazy or exploitive. It always feels like it's serving the story.
Yeah, I don't mean that as in like it's an exploitation movie.
But it's a movie made for a mature audience.
Yeah, for a much more mature audience. Like it really is like kind of like a 90s thriller. Although a little smarter than some 90s thrillers, but it's a better movie than Color of Night. I'll say that.
Bruce Willis getting his dick out.
Damn right. Yeah. Pulp Fiction was the way better Bruce Willis getting his dick out movie.
You always want to get a movie with a little bit of a Brucey bonus.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The movies where you see Bruce Willis's character's dick, you got Color of Night, Pulp Fiction, and Look Who's Talking. There's your trilogy right there. Two of them have solid oldies soundtracks. No, but like I agree. It's good to support this kind of smart, entertaining, very character-driven adult movie. Like this doesn't cut itself down to a PG-13. No. It doesn't hold back in a lot of different areas. Like it, in my opinion at least, it really does. It respects its audience. It respects the fact that, grown people are paying a ticket to see a good mystery.
It's a movie that's made far too infrequently these days when everything is sort of watered down to PG-13. I could imagine that there would be a PG-13 version of this movie, but it would feel compromised. It would... When this movie does go R, it feels very appropriate, and it always kind of hits you in the gut whenever it does that.
Yo, Lord, yeah. Yeah, there are actors in this movie who don't have a no nudity clause. Now,
Allison Janney.
Yes, just naked through the whole movie. It was really weird because all her scenes are in public. It was an interesting acting choice.
Some would say very daring.
Very much so. So this was the better movie between...
What are you talking about? Middle school, best years of my life.
Middle school, the best movie of my life. Says Ben Lyons.
And don't forget to go to the next Fathom events.
Yeah, fucking Ben Lyons. The only person I trust less than Ben Lyons is Armand White.
And I'll see you at the movies.
Well, do you have any other final thoughts about the movie?
Go see it.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out. I was thoroughly entertained by it. Tomorrow is another fantastic double feature. We've got Birth of a Nation.
That won't be controversial whatsoever.
No. And Masterminds. Again, practically the same two movies. See ya.
Good night.